Sorry about that, folks. I'm sure what I'll do is when I put this live, I'll cut it out. So I'll start again. Good evening and welcome back to another Monday night live stream. Just had kind of 8 minutes of crap, haven't I, basically? You're right, Mike. I've just seen that. It proves you were listening. That's right. At least you haven't just put it on in the background and just turned it off anyway. So, anyway. It just went nuts, the chat. I was thinking, bloody hell, it's going to be a good one tonight. We've got plenty of chat going on. So, what I was saying was, you can see the red face now. I'm kind of, what a mess. I haven't ballsed up the chat for quite a while now, have I? You're going to see it's all in Swedish now. So, I was saying, tonight's live stream was suggested, the topic was suggested last week by Tony, and it was games that you play that you think deserve a bit more love and attention. So I'm reading the chat while I'm trying to keep it going as well. Games that you think need a bit more love and attention. So I've just all Peter Nicholas's as well. Sorry, Peter. I think there was a glitch in the software here, and I think it was playing back what was recording and playing back what it was recording, and it went into a weird kind of an echo thing. So we're back now. I'll have to cut it out because anybody that tunes in afterwards will think, "Oh, I'm not watching this crap for an hour and a half." Skull Munch is crying. We'll have that. What a great way to start. It's better than, I think it was my first or my second live stream. I kind of chatted for about 15 minutes and I had it, my microphone was on mute. So, yeah, it's been one of them days. What can I say? Cheers, everyone. So, anyway, let's get back to the real chat. Flying Marvel says that Andes need more attention. Well, if I'm going to give you like 10 versions of me, then the least you can do it is have it on 10 different devices. Throatsaw said he's packing for a LARP at the weekend. Orion Sphere. It's a sci-fi LARP with Nerf guns. We need to hear more about that next week, mate. Sounds really good. Jens is saying more love to triple streams. Gary says if Andy's live stream was a game, it needs more attention. Just joking. Love your show. Thanks, mate. I appreciate you coming in and let me know, and I appreciate the little messages flicking up on my phone as well. Thank you. We've got Tolmart saying no more sniffing Prime. See, that's what happens. All best laid plans. Check everything's working, but you can never check the live stream's working until you live stream it, can you? Peter says not sure it was the worst chat or the best. It was definitely the worst. Glenn Griffin says awesome mug. Thank you very much, Glenn. This was a gift from Ross, who runs EH Gaming. He asked me what kill team I was painting up. It was my Ultramarines, so he got me my my Ultramarines mug. I will say I'm there. Unfortunately, there's no beer in there tonight, just water. So yeah, I'm on the light stuff tonight. Adam says, but a topic. I would like to vote for anything owned, acquired, or published by TT Combat. That's quite interesting, Adam. So what makes you pick TT Combat stuff? Because you're right, their stuff is kind of flying under the radar a little bit at the minute. So we've got things like Rumble Slam. Great game. I know Kev's just mentioned there. Rumble Slam definitely needs more love. Great game. Fantastic miniatures. Doesn't seem to get a lot of attention. They've got Carnivale, or Carnival, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but they kickstarted a little while ago, and I think that started to deliver now as well. They've got some fantastic miniatures for that. Don't seem to hear a lot about it. What's the other game? Have they just picked up something else as well? They didn't pick up the... Oh, they picked up... It wasn't Dystopian Wars. They picked something else up recently, didn't... Oh, it was Relics, I think. They picked up Relics as well, and that, again... Not another game that you don't hear about either. Michael is saying just started adding Vanguard to the web shop. I need more attention. I will say actually. So Michael, I don't know if it might be better off if you stick a link in the Facebook group and then I can show it on here because I don't think it lets you put links up on the page. But I did buy some fantasy terrain from Michael at the weekend at a very good price. So I'm looking forward to that coming when Michael ships it out, and that'll be for my games of Kings of War, my games of Vanguard as well. So I'm looking forward to receiving that. If Michael puts the link up in the Facebook group and lets me know, I'll share that as well, so everybody else can see Michael's link. Throat sauce. So is this what happens when you cross the streams? I think it did. I think we crossed many streams there. I just saw Throat Sauce saying Drop Zone Commander. That's the other one I was thinking of. I couldn't remember. They picked up something else and I couldn't remember what it was. It was at a period of time when both War Cradle and TT Combat were picking up bits and pieces that were not going out of business, but maybe needed a bit of support. Gary Hollandale says Warhammer Quest really does. Yeah, Warhammer Quest's an interesting one. I mean, we're not just talking miniatures games tonight as well, board games as well. So if there's something that you play, something you play quite often, and you think like it flies under the radar a little bit, then let's talk about board games as well. We've got Henry's in as well. Good evening, Henry. Hope you're very well. He says late to the show, but Kings of War. Kings of War is a great shout as well. It's another game that probably I think people are aware of it, but I think it's probably, how can I put it? It's probably got a bit of history where people saw it as an unfairly so, I would say, as a bit of a kind of a Warhammer Fantasy rip-off or Warhammer Fantasy Light, and that's not the case. I think once Warhammer Fantasy went its way, I think it definitely picked up a few more players. But I think it's a great game that definitely does deserve a bit more attention as well. Starting to get to a point with Mantic now as well, where they're starting to flesh out a lot of the different races with their own miniatures, their own model ranges. So yeah, it's definitely another game that I think we'll crack onto tonight as well at some point. We've got Rage Against the Dice as well, saying Relics, Drop Fleet, Drop Zone. Yeah, some Drop Zone. I think if Mike's still around, me and Mike had a game of Drop Zone Commander many years ago. It was a game I really enjoyed actually, but never sort of saw the table again, to be fair, unfairly or sadly. Adam is saying Relics was bought by them, knew the guy that created it, also want to play a Drop Zone Commander 2.0. Has that been announced yet? Because I'm sure it was supposed to be coming at Salute this year, but then I didn't hear much about it either. Kev saying that Relics was amazing, loved tour games. Tabletop Gaming, good evening, buddy. I'm not sure which one of you. I just saw that. It's Jay that's in. Good evening, Jay. Also, he's got Steve here. Sorry. Good to see you again, fella. Good to see you too, Steve. Says a game that's on the up, but definitely doesn't get the credit is Wild West Exodus by War Cradle. Best skirmish game I've played in a long time. Can't get enough. It's quite interesting that actually. I really enjoyed the demo I had, but it was just that little bit kind of there was a lot of rules and a lot of checking of what each sort of keywords did. And that for the first demo I had, it was quite difficult to pick up. It felt like something that would get easier with time, but it just felt like it could, for my brain space, it was the only game I'd have to play to kind of keep on top of it. But I was just saying last week in the live stream, I think it's a game I should probably give a second try to be fair. Jens is saying he was looking at Wild West Exodus, don't like the change in rules. I think they've settled down now a little bit, to be fair, Jens, so now might be a time to get back into it if you're thinking of it. Henry's saying, going to play Kings of War in my hotel room with my co-worker tonight. Not sure how a bed will work as a games table. Not like that, that's gross. That's interesting, Henry. That's the best way to use your time away from home, isn't it? That's good stuff, mate. Throat Sauce saying 8 Kings of War bat rep, going to do one. Looking out for it, mate. I'll be watching for that one. And Gary saying Frostgrave is another one. It's interesting you mentioned Frostgrave because Osprey Games, who do the Frostgrave rules, have got a lot of rule sets. And I know Carl mentioned today in the Facebook group he couldn't make the chat tonight, but he wanted to mention the Dragon Rampant stuff, so I'll flick across to here and some of the stuff from Osprey. So these are another like sort of rule sets that don't necessarily have their own miniatures. You can kind of buy your own miniatures or whatever from wherever. But there's a lot of these rule sets, things like Gaslands that get a lot of there's a lot of press about. Well, there's a lot of chat about it. Don't see a lot of it kind of on YouTube or anything. Then there's the things like Dragon Rampant that Carl was talking about. There's Lion Rampant as well. We've obviously got some kind of naval combat rule sets as well. Then obviously there's Bolt Action. There's Frostgrave as well that we've just been chatting about. Get that one up as well. So I don't know enough about Frostgrave to know which of these different rule sets or which ones. I'm assuming these are kind of expansions or bits of extra scenarios and things. I don't know a lot about them, but yeah, Frostgrave's another game that I hear about, but maybe doesn't get as much love as it deserves. We've got Rain is saying Middle Earth strategy battle. At least if you consider how well known that IP is, seems there are like 5 people playing in the whole of Finland. It's I think it probably took a little bit of a dip over the years, just purely because it was still supported by GW, but it wasn't exactly kind of advertised very much. I know the guys at Tabletop Gaming play quite a bit of it and have been quite heavily involved, I think, in the local scene. But I would like to think with the new box set that's out now, it should give it another kind of kick on again. We've got Colwell321 in. Good evening, Colwell. Hope you're well. Says Gorkamoka really needs more love. Also, Gangs of Camor and Burrows and Badgers are both great games that are overlooked. Yeah, Burrows and Badgers is another one. I hear loads of people talking about it. Certainly, I think Tim Kelly's been doing quite a bit of painting for it. I think Josie from Green Stuff Games, she was doing quite a bit of stuff with it, but I don't see a lot of it on YouTube, and I don't see a lot of kind of sort of general chat about it, really. Gorkamoka is something I've heard of but never played. Don't know a lot about it. Not sure if this new October thing with the Speed Freaks and things might rejuvenate some of that love. And Gangs of Camor, I heard a lot about that, about it being a fairly decent game, to be fair. Kind of like an X-Wing, wasn't it, with Dark Elder? So, but I think it was at that time when GW were releasing a lot of box sets just to kind of shift some miniatures, I think. So we got DM13 is saying with GW churning out new titles every month, other miniatures must really struggle to keep their head above water and make a dent in the minds and pockets of players. I think there's an element of that, DM13. I think, it's Robert, isn't it? I should say Robert. It is Robert, isn't it? Yeah. There's an element of that where I think almost within kind of independent stores, I think they bring out so much stuff to almost keep other stuff off the shelf. Because people must know, GW stuff sells, we'll stock that. And there's only so much shelf space in these kind of smaller independents. It almost keeps away some of these games that don't get enough love. Michael saying he's added it to the site. So let's have a look on here. And we'll flip across to there. So this is Michael's web store here. I'll click on it and we'll bring it up. So if anybody's in the Facebook group, you can go across. There's a link to it there. Michael's obviously got quite a bit of stuff on the site there already. There's many different miniatures to buy. There's different games to buy as well. Wild West Exodus is one of those things. We've also got Guild Ball, Kings of War, Walking Dead, Dread Ball. Lots of Mantic stuff there. We've also got Strontium Dog, which is something we'll be having a chat about later on as well. Michael gave me a bit of a heads up on it earlier on. So it also does some scenery and terrain as well. So Rain, I know you were talking about this before, about sort of which kind of scenery and terrain and things. He's got many different bits and pieces on there as well, so worth checking that out. So thanks for that, Michael. And I look forward to receiving my order. Thank you, mate. Tim saying those on pillow. I was going to say, tell me about the game afterwards, but maybe I don't want to know. Skullmunch says, Malifaux deserves more love. Another good shout, Skullmunch. So yeah, Malifaux was kind of a game that kind of took off. Certainly did in my local area when I used to play it. But then I guess you don't hear about it so much now. The Malifaux community was one community actually that seemed to have a good kind of mix of male and female gamers as well. You don't get that a lot. Malifaux was certainly a game that attracted a few more female gamers. And it was a nice kind of change to see that tournament scene that was made up of both men and women. Egan says Gaslands need more love. Any excuse as a grown man to play with toy cars again. So what do you think? What do you think dictates? And this is to everybody, including Ian. What do you think is missing from those games? Why do they not see more love? Is it purely because everybody is so kind of GW focused that they get all the YouTube channels, that's where all the focus is, that's all anybody buys, and that's what they play? What do you think is missing to give some of these games a bit more exposure? Is it the companies themselves? Are the companies not doing a very good job? Excuse me, of getting the message out there? Is it people like me don't kind of excuse me? Is it people like me don't do videos about them? What do you think is the background as to why these games don't see the light of day so much? Peter Nicholas saying, I'm guilty of buying Kings of War as Warhammer proxy. Sorry. Never be sorry, mate. I'm sure Mantic still love your pennies and pounds. I think a lot of people did, to be fair. A lot of people bought because they were... Certainly some of the range back in the day was good quality miniatures. Things like the Undead were really, really nice. And for a fraction of the price of the GW stuff, especially when GW zombies were not maybe the nicest. I think they definitely filled a gap in the market at that time. But I think Kings of War in its own right is a really good rule set. And it's kicked on a long way from that first kind of 8-page leaflet as it was back originally. Adam is saying Drop Zone 2 got delayed until next year. That'll be why I've not heard anything about it. Michael was just saying Wild West Exodus and Strontium Dog there, but it jumped off the top of the screen. Yeah, Wild West Exodus and Strontium Dog, 2 games that probably need a bit more attention. Steve is saying that Horizon Wars is a great game. Takes me back to my epic days. I'm assuming that's one of the Osprey games, was it? Is that one of those? We've got Mike saying Drop Zone, terrific game, great models and rules. Really wish the Northeast scene hadn't died on its proverbial. Yeah, it's quite interesting, that, mate. I mean, he's just saying he had 3 fully painted armies for Drop Zone Commander, played a ton, then everyone seemed to stop playing around here all at the same time. I wonder why that is. Is it just because people jump around from game to game? Or does something happen that makes them drift off into something else? Because I've seen that happen a couple of times with things like Infinity. Again, that's another game, actually, that whilst it's popular, you don't see a lot on YouTube about it. You don't see a lot on Facebook about it. Adam is saying Gangs of Rome looks simple and cheap. That's another one that's a great one. Anybody that is interested in Gangs of Rome, at the minute the rules are free for PDF. And I think at the end of this month, they're going to take them off the free rules. You're going to have to buy them. They're not particularly expensive, to be fair. But if anybody's interested in just giving the rule set a try out, head across to the Gangs of Rome website. Make sure you download those rules for free before they disappear. Glenn is saying, over on Beasts of War, usually cover Infinity, but I never see much interest for it. Just been mentioning that there, yeah. Same for Batman miniatures game. You'd think all Batman would grab mainstream interest. There's some really, really good games out there. Potentially too many for for all of them to survive and all of them to thrive. But it's really interesting that some just never seem to see the light of day on YouTube or certainly on Facebook and places. I know Beasts of War do cover quite... they're pretty much the only coverage for Infinity randomly, aren't they? Silver saying no one likes DC though. I must admit I prefer the DC comics than I do over Marvel. I'm more of a DC guy, I'll be honest. Tim says Osprey, Oathsworn, Burrows and Badgers, superb skirmish game, amazing mini too. Knew it'd been you, mate. That was it had been doing some stuff. Glenn's more of a Marvel guy as well. I've just kind of put my foot in it there. I'm definitely more of kind of Batman. Definitely more of a Batman kind of fan than I am kind of sort of Spider-Man and Thor and stuff. Just a shame that the movies don't live up to the Marvel ones. Mike saying Dust Tactics is my nomination. Battlefront wrecked its momentum with their rubbish treatment of Dust Studios when they became the main distributor of it. It took years for them to get back on track. I remember Dust Tactics starting to pick up a bit of momentum, and then it did seem to just get wiped out, didn't it? Almost overnight. I don't know the background of it as to why that happened, but I do remember it just almost falling off the edge of a cliff. Adam's saying to Glenn, there's a lot of Infinity near me. I'm not a fan of the style though. I remember you saying, Adam, I actually quite like the style of Infinity. I think it's just it's quite a complex rule set, I think. Certainly if you try to do all of the hackers and the hollows and everything else. Michael saying Ghost Arpeggio, is it? Maybe that's how you pronounce it. Is a different game in the same universe as Frostgrave. I didn't realise that. I assumed that they were all just expansions of the same thing or something. Kev saying Tombstone doesn't get any love and it's a fantastic Old West skirmish game. I'm surprised there's not more Western skirmish games. I mean, you think kind of guys like us and guys and girls like in miniature hobbies would be more into that kind of Western. I mean, look at the love that Red Dead Redemption 2 is getting at the minute. I'm surprised there's not more Western stuff outside of Wild West Exodus now, of course. Glenn saying amazing minis. Silver saying he's got some Dust stuff but never played it. Got it in the Kickstarter when everything went south. Did he? I'm trying to remember who used to have Dust originally. And I can't remember the name of the company. In my head, it was Fantasy Flight, but it's not those. I can't remember who it was. But they always looked really nice, the miniatures. Skullmunch saying Bushido looks like a great game. Don't see a lot of love for it. Bushido was another one. One of those games that plays on a nice, small kind of table size. Miniatures are really nice quality. Never sees the light of day randomly. I don't understand why that is. Kev saying loved Gorkamoka. Adam saying Black Powder 2's just come out from Warlord. Am I right in thinking Black Powder 2 is kind of, it's all muskets and kind of Civil War era type stuff, I think it is. Peter's saying I agree about Gorkamoka, had many a fun hour with that. I don't know anything about it. I must have just not been in and around gaming at that time. I kind of missed that whole Gorkamoka, Necromunda, what was the other one, the other GW one? Mordheim. I missed all of that. I don't know why. Ian is saying Munchkin is also worth a shout out. Such a laugh playing that. Again, it's a game I'm aware of. I'm sure I've just seen recently they're bringing out a Warhammer 40,000 Munchkin, like a Warhammer 40,000 theme of Munchkin, which I find random. Throat Saw says he started playing Waste Man by Thunderchild Miniatures. Not many minis needed and a cool D10 system. Yeah, not a game I've heard of again. It's just amazing how much is out there. How do all these companies manage to kind of survive? Is it just the sheer? Is there more gamers than we think there is, but they're just so fractured across hundreds and hundreds of different rule sets, rather than kind of like a console gamers who maybe kind of flock more to the big titles, I suppose. Silver saying, really want to play Paranoia. Not sure how close the XP version is to the original, which I heard is awesome. Again, not a game I've heard of, mate, but good to hear more. Mark saying, need more Dreadball players on YouTube. Do you know what it is? That's another thing as well. Dreadballs, it's another game that translates quite well to video because it's kind of quite fast-paced. The game's quite kind of swings backwards and forwards, and it fits on a nice sized board, which is great for videoing. Never seen much about it on YouTube. Really interesting that. It's all just flicking off the top of the screen as well there. We've got lots of stuff going on. Lots of chat. See if I can try and find where we were up to. Here we go. Jens is saying, thank you, Tim, for the video in the group. He's saying he's laughing. I'm not seeing it yet. Obviously, I'll have to go and check that out. We've got Shaggy in as well. Good evening, Shaggy Wargaming, mate. How are you doing? I'm gonna have to check it out now. I wonder what it is, or if it's just the Tim. Probably. Thank you very much, mate. I'll have to go back and watch that. Watch the chat going nuts. Thank you for sharing this, mate. and for when I cut it out, for making everybody aware of what a balls up I made of it. Adam says, sometimes the design and or the lore are a bit old-fashioned for the mainstream. That's a good point. There's a lot of games that do kind of maybe are not kind of designed for the mainstream, if you like. There's a lot of games that you don't even know about unless you're a gamer already, really. Glenn is saying, I think what's missing is a lack of players at local level, which in turn leads to less interested and more niche games. I would agree with that, but then I guess in order for a game to survive, somebody must be playing it somewhere, or there must be at least a portion of people that are playing it. And I would like to think that you would see more of it on YouTube. I mean, YouTube seems to be the place for kind of gaming videos. I don't think places like kind of Instagram or Twitch or anywhere like that, they haven't really picked them up yet. So you'd expect to see more coverage, wouldn't you? Even coverage from the companies that make these games as well. I'm really surprised they don't like sort of cover their own games. But maybe it's a lack of staff and things like that. Maybe. Kev is saying we try to cover a lot of indie games, but any videos we do on indie games get so few hits in comparison to our GW videos, makes us end up covering more GW. I agree with that as well. I can see how that's a thing. It's really interesting. It's kind of, it's really hard, isn't it? Like you need people to watch them to kind of to give you the energy to keep making those videos. Otherwise, like you say, why would you bother really? It's different if that's the game you play, then by all means kind of make them. But I do get what you're saying there, mate. Rob saying Frostgrave and Malifaux really pushed the skirmish level games, which pushed GW to recognise that whole market. A few years after those games broke into the scene, GW launched Necromunda, Kill Team, etc. Yeah, I mean, I think they were taking a bit of a battering, weren't they, from games like X-Wing, games like War Machine and Hordes. Infinity came along. Malifaux was doing well. It took them a while, I think, to kind of get a grip on that. Throat Sauce saying GW is a thing, but indie games are doing better. Shared gaming vocabulary is a thing. It's easier to sell a game everyone knows about and can just turn to a group and play. Yeah, you're right. And I think that's why GW is almost this kind of like monolith that just keeps rolling on, isn't it? Because people play what people play. Silver's kind of agreeing there. It takes a critical mass to grow and sustain market share. Up until then, it can be a real struggle to get a foot in the door as people don't tend to invest in what they're like unlikely to be able to play. I mean, I know that's a thing, but how do these companies keep going then? Who's buying these miniatures? Like, for example, you don't see a lot of bolt action online. You know, maybe you do. Maybe I just don't find them. You don't see a lot of Malifaux online. You don't see a lot of Infinity online. You don't see a lot of you don't see a lot of War Machine online anymore. It's just it's kind of weird, isn't it? Tom Martin saying not enough channels like yours and Rage Against the show, Rage Against that show other games. Yeah, maybe there is. I mean, that's one of the reasons that I kind of do what I do. Really, is because my hobby means I like to find out what games are out there. I like to play lots of different things. There'd be certain ones that I'll play more often. Certain things like kind of Walking Dead or Kill Team or things. I mean, I'm Kings of War, which I'm hoping to get into as my army takes shape as well. There'll be some games that I certainly play more often than others, but I do like to try and find out a bit more kind of what's out there. And you're right, actually, Kev, thinking about it. There's been games where, certainly when I do videos around UK Games Expo and I try and give a little bit of I give what little exposure I can give to some of these up-and-coming card games and Kickstarters and other bits and pieces, it's really hard to gain traction because no one's searching for them. And even though I have like a number of subscribers, obviously, I mean, maybe you guys are the exception. You come in for the Monday night chats as well. But a lot of my subscribers won't watch that kind of stuff. So it's a shame, really. It's a real shame. Mark is saying to Kev, just watching the Night Vault vid made me want him more. Road Sauce saying, guess you have to play the indie games you love where others will come over and see what you're up to. Yeah, I think there's an element of that, isn't there? You need to just kind of like I like to just kind of stay true to the games I play. Really, I'm not. If I just wanted to kind of to go for views, I would just do GW videos all the time. I would get to a level and kind of that would be where I'd peak, I think. But I don't enjoy all of the GW games as much as some other people do. There's other games I enjoy more. Rain is saying, how about HeroClix? Would think that a game about superheroes would be highly successful with recent big movies. It's interesting that, isn't it? Because I've never played HeroClix, but I think it gets a bit of a bad rep because I think some of the pre-painted miniatures are not the nicest. They're a bit rubbery, but I don't know what the gameplay is like. Kev is saying thanks to Mark, and he's also saying Batman suffers from its manufacturer's reputation. Excuse me. It's interesting you say that, Kev, because again, there must be enough people playing it. They're releasing more Batman stuff now. I just saw the other day they're starting to do new box sets and stuff. So there's obviously an audience for it, but it just doesn't seem to get much coverage. even night models don't make videos on, like, they don't do a lot of coverage in their own game. You think these companies would want to get their stuff out there? I mean, the way Games Workshop do their kind of Warhammer TV, I think Steamforge do a pretty good job when they kind of have their sort of guys doing videos and live streams when they're releasing new games or when there's a new season for, say, Guild Ball or something. I know Mantic has just hired a kind of a video guy as well to try and up their game on that side of things. I'm surprised more companies don't put a little bit of kind of put a member of staff or even just people who work there. I'm surprised they don't sort of part of their day job really. Skullmunch says Guerrilla Miniature Games started doing more Infinity. Yeah, I've noticed that. It used to do quite a bit before, and it seems to be coming back again now. Mock saying he's waiting on Monolith's Batman. Me too, mate. Have you got any idea when that's due to ship? I was looking the other day online and I could not find any details on shipping dates. Throat Sauce says when people are looking at a new game, how many people see it on YouTube first? Do you think? I do that all the time. If I want to find out about a game, I will go and search on YouTube and look for information on it. I find it easier to watch and see people's opinions and kind of see how the game plays or find out a little bit more about it. I always search on YouTube for it, which is why I'm surprised more companies don't kind of grow their own channels and grow their own audience. Shaggy is saying with the advent of Kickstarter games and all the games that are out now, it's hard to remain focused and build a community, I think, in an area. You're right, actually. I mean, you can build a Kickstarter community around a particular kind of game, but that doesn't mean that it's one person from a million different towns kind of thing. Shaggy saying Batman is the best. I agree with you. Mark saying Throat Saw, check YouTube for players and reviews before he buys any game. Yep. Rob saying Batman, Superman alone trump any characters Marvel can bring to the table. I think I like Batman the best because he's not a superhero. He hasn't got a special power. He wasn't kind of struck by lightning or kind of from an alien planet. His superpower is he's rich and he kind of just buys all the latest toys. There's something about that I think kind of stands out. Michael is saying I think the problem with YouTube community that the ones who are doing videos most are looking at viewers wanting to see GW, so they do GW and the rest is forgotten. Yeah, that's a real shame actually, isn't it? Because there are some games that have big communities. So for example, I think Walking Dead is a prime example. Kings of War is a prime example. There are really big, passionate communities around those games, but not too much content on them. We've got Lee Burns in. Good evening, Lee. Hope you're well, mate. Says some completely different, but anyone play any Boroughs and Badgers? We've briefly chatted about it earlier. There's a couple of guys brought it up, Lee. It says rules and models by a guy from the Northeast, I think. I didn't know that, mate. I don't know much about the person that wrote the rules or did the models, but that's really interesting if it is. Jens is saying Dead Man's Hand is a Wild West tabletop. I've heard of that as well. Tim's just saying Dead Man's Hand gets massive play at a local store. If you fancy a Western game, quite interesting. I've heard of it. You know, the one that I quite fancied the look of as well was Dracula's America, which is kind of like there's a bit of a Western theme to it in there as well, where I think it's basically like an alternative history where imagine if Dracula became president of America. It's quite an interesting kind of twist on it. We've got Michael saying that's why I want to do everything except GW. See, I tend to cover GW stuff if it's something I'm interested in, but I tend not to make videos just about GW stuff because it's GW and because it'll get views or whatever. If I look at my videos, some of the ones that have got kind of some of the most views are things like around Necromunda, around Kill Team, around Shadespire. So I know it does drive views, but you know, if you're not playing it, you're not enjoying it, I wouldn't make videos about it. We've got Eternal Frost in, says hello. Good evening, Eternal Frost. How are you doing? Hope you're well. We always have a regular chat on Twitter, so it's good to see you in here, mate. Kevin's saying, not a fan of Dead Man's Hand, but the minis are cool. I don't know much about the rules, mate, so I'll take your word for it. Shaggy's saying, the problem is time. How much can you invest in a game and what your mates like to play that are popular due to the size and usually easy to get into? Yeah, I do agree with that. But like I said before, that these games can't be just kind of bankrolled by somebody with a lottery win. There must be people out there buying them, so there must be communities that are buying and playing these games. It can't be one guy in his shed just kind of churning out the odd model here and there kind of thing. Robson has a few hero clicks, never get to the table, was going to try my kidnet, but skipped to kill team instead. Yeah, I think there's a few people that kind of done that recently, haven't they? Just all moving on too fast again. I lost my place in the chart. Where have we gone? God, he's moving fast tonight, guys. He's having a right old chat. Flying Mammal saying, I really want to play Burrows and Badgers. Couldn't decide where to start. I don't know much about it, to be honest. Kev saying, I'll throw you a copy of Gorka Morka rules. Be good to see me. I don't know anything at all about the game. Jens is saying, Fallout has a nice AI to play a tabletop against the game. Art is saying, oh, good evening, Art. Thank you for coming in. Says, evening all. Another good source of rules it is. Ganesha Games, who make Song of Blades and Heroes, several other good games. Also, Gale Force 9 Tanks. Gale Force 9 Tanks is a great shout, actually. That is a game that could do with a bit more love. It always seems to sell quite cheap, but it's kind of X-Wing with tanks, which that's not a bad thing. Peter's saying also started collecting hero clicks but never played. I think a few people do that, kind of collect them for what they are. Silver saying only ever use hero clicks as stand-in models. Yeah, I think that's probably another thing people. Throat saying I like the fracture theory. Don't know that, mate. But, let me know a bit more about fracture theory. Kev saying Test of Honor by Warlord really good. Couldn't get my mates interested in it. Yeah, Test of Honor. I had a demo when I was at Asgard War Games. I had me and my son Sam had a demo of it. Really enjoyed it. Was going to buy it actually, but didn't have one in. Yeah, I never got round to it because it would have been an impulse purchase, and I never went back and got it. Adam is saying the closest group ran a lot of different rule sets, but a lot of them moved over to open combat. Again, I'm not sure about what that one is, mate. Fly Mammal saying, thinking back to UK Games Expo, there was an amazing looking mini game, but no one there to talk about it. She's asking what Skull Munch, which one it was. Be interesting to know which one that was. Actually, I'll keep an eye on the chat for that one. Throat Sauce saying Bob Point Players does Dead Ball games on YouTube. Yeah, I've seen some of Bob's stuff. It's pretty good as well. If I remember right, did I see was it Bob that was on your Dead Zone video recently? Steve is saying Book of Nox by Shed Games is a great game, but not getting known in the community. Yeah, definitely not heard it. Yeah. Tim is saying delete it if you want to see some cred. Nah, you're all right, mate. I'll delete it off the start of this video when it goes live tonight. I'll kind of cut the start off so people don't have to listen to that going round on loop. And so they don't kind of automatically click off it. But by all means, save it for prosperity, mate, in the Facebook group. Silver says Paranoia is a screw everyone type game set in dystopian city, ruled by an insane computer. Think Logan's Run, Blade Runner, Rick and Morty, with lots of Cold War cloak and dagger, where everyone has secret objectives and more backstabbing than footballers' wives. Have you ever thought about writing the blurb for the back of boxes, mate? That was a great description. Shaggy says, one of the big reasons I play the games I play is due to the people I meet at local game store. Yeah, I can see that's a reason. They've got demo games and build a community, which I do think is key for game to survive. Yeah. Lisa in a Flying Mammal that I bought the book out of interest. It seems like fun. The minis look good in a cute sort of way. I like the minis, Lee. I think it's nice to kind of, although I've not picked any up, I was kind of looking at Tim's with as he was painting his up. It's nice to paint something that's not kind of like sci-fi or fantasy, isn't it? Like it's fantasy, but like sort of not the usual kind of miniatures, if you like. Mark's saying the Throat Saw, he's seen a few of theirs and Way to Fire, but not that many. Was expecting leagues and all sorts. Yeah, Way to Fire is another good channel actually, with a good mix of Dead Zone stuff. Not Dead Zone, sorry. There is a lot of Dead Zone, but a lot of Mantic stuff on there as well. Kev says phased out Rumble Slam on the channel because we're getting less than 50 hits per video compared to 200 for others. Yeah, I did an unboxing of Rumble Slam and it hardly got any views at all in comparison to my other stuff at the time. And even now, it's not like it's obviously not searched for very much because nobody's ever really kind of gone back and watched it. Not like some of my videos. Rob saying the rise of licensed games on Kickstarter must be keeping the lights on for some of these companies. I wouldn't disagree with that, mate, either. Throats all saying true, not a lot of Conflict 47 videos. but I got good hints when I did a vid on BlackJack. But I got good hints when I did a video on BlackJack. Does keep the faith and covers indie stuff. Yeah, I do like to kind of cover bits of indie stuff and bits and pieces. It's a shame when it just doesn't get the views, really, because not only is it disappointing for me, kind of after spending some time making the videos, it's disappointing for those companies, because it would be nice to get them some kind of exposure. That's the word I was looking for. Adam says, when looking for Conflict 47, most of the videos were a year old. Yeah, we've got well hung and done. Says some good evening, by the way. Says some of the Osprey skirmish games are excellent. Cheap bargain, fun easy rules, chosen men, the men who would be kings, Gaslands, Lion and Dragon Rampant, but they don't get a lot of attention. Yeah, we were just randomly chatting about those a little while ago as well. Again, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Randomly, there's so much to choose from that people overlook some really good rule sets. Tim is saying Conflict 47 is cracking. Got to finish his Soviet army, but prefer it to bolt action. That's quite interesting, because bolt action seems to be the game that gets a bit of love, doesn't it? Silver is saying Kickstarter certainly acts as a focus for games creators, generate sales and interest, even if ultimately they don't do well at retail. Yeah, I do wonder about that. How many of these games now are just designed kind of just to be that one hit and done kind of thing. Adam is saying, as much as he hates the community's disdain for certain companies, I do like the avalanche of videos that are all similar when something big is released. Yeah, I mean, you would never release kind of like Apple would never release an iPhone and not make an advert for it. It just surprises me, that kind of, and I guess if you think of Apple as the Games Workshop kind of thing, Games Workshop could release a new kind of a new army, and word of mouth would get it out there in the same way Apple would release a new phone and word of mouth would get it out there. But they don't. They spend time and they spend money to advertise it and to promote it and to kind of make it look quite polished. I mean, the money that Apple was spending on their ads, Games Workshop have really upped their game as well. It just seems that things like YouTube essentially are free advertising. It's not like you've got to put them on TV or anything like that. I'm just surprised more companies don't do it. Skullmunch saying not much about Harry Potter miniatures either. That should be arriving soon. Yeah, I think that's due about October time, isn't it? Flying Mammal saying they were even a bit cagey about Harry Potter until the pre-order started. Yeah, I think there was a bit more to that. I think reading between the lines and a few things I've heard online, so this could be completely wrong, but I did hear that. I think it was a bit of a surprise to Warner Brothers that they decided to go down the Kickstarter route, and I think that kind of made them pull it a little bit at the 11th hour, and it went into this weird kind of pre-order system. Jens is saying, yeah, Potter wasn't available in every country. Again, I think that was another thing. I think they kind of hadn't understood the license that they had. Rob saying, Aliens vs Predator: The Hunt Begins looks good. Never played it. Don't see any coverage on YouTube. There's a lot of those games, things like the Terminator game from Riverhorse, Aliens vs Predator. Yeah, you don't see a lot of them, do you? Silver is saying the same with the Fallout game. Yeah, again, that's another one. Fallout had next to no coverage either. I mean, you've paid all that money for the Fallout license. Why would you not be pushing that down people's throats? Be all over Facebook, all over Instagram, all over Twitter, all over YouTube. I find it random. Mark says Batman's due April. Oh, it's a bit later than I thought, actually, but I'm looking forward to it. Again, the chat flies off the top as well. Rain saying skipped over one there. Silver saying Harry Potter and Fallout are both IPs I really love, but even I flinched at the prices. Yeah, they were high, weren't they? Mark saying, Rain is saying expecting Fallout to arrive soon. I know Mike's got his. I saw a few people getting theirs as well, so I'm assuming they're on the way out, Rain. It shouldn't be too long to Finland. Mark says, anyone played the Harry Potter game? Minis were stunning, but haven't seen a decent playthrough. I only ever remember seeing that first quite weird, a little bit cringy kind of initial videos that Knight did. I've not seen anything since then. Adam saying to Silver to look out for Fallout board game. Enjoyed it more than the tabletop game. Art says, I give a lot of info on games via Facebook. A lot of these more obscure games have Facebook groups. They like Song of Blades and Heroes and more time. Yeah, I tend to do that. I've joined loads of Facebook groups to find out more about some of these games. Mark saying Board Game Geek's a good source too. It is. I think Board Game Geek as well, if something is kind of getting a little bit of momentum as well, it jumps up that chart, doesn't it, on the left-hand side of the screen as well, so you can kind of see the things that people are talking about. Michaelson, talking about twists, Dracula being president, the new Secret Service box for Wild West Exodus has Abraham Lincoln, the vampire hunter with the axe. I'll have to check that out, mate. I've not seen the latest Wild West Exodus stuff. We've got Travis in from Big Beard Painting. Evening, buddy. Says, evening all. Tim's saying about Boroughs and Badgers. It's set in the northeast of England, but world is UK animals in 16th century. Magic, assassins, knights, etc. Great campaign play and warband expansion like Kill Team. Didn't realise it was set in the northeast of England. Kev saying Dracula's America is a great game. Adam says, I find it interesting that miniature game and hobby stores do discounts, yet the board game roleplay shops near me add about 15% to the RRP. That is quite interesting, actually. I wonder if, Adam, if they're doing it because it's certain games that are hard to get hold of, things like Gloomhaven or things like, what's the other, there was another Kingdom Death, things like that. I wonder if they're just in short supply and if that's why. Rob is saying, I reckon that lots of people are buying the small indie games and they're just sitting on to build and paint piles. Yeah, I'll hold my hand up, and I'm one of those as well. Tim saying the Borough and Badgers group on Facebook is superb, nice community. I can imagine there's not too many crosswords in that kind of community. To be fair, Mark says might be past 10 before you get here in the chat, but firstly, sorry for missing the first Twitch stream. Are you planning another soon? Well, I got here at 5:02, mate, so I'm catching up quickly. I've not planned one, mate. I did one just to kind of see how it went. I couldn't find the chat, so I didn't realise people were chatting. I didn't realise until afterwards, so I missed the kind of chat stuff. But I streamed my first play of Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. Quite enjoyed the game, actually, and I quite enjoyed the Twitch stream of it as well. So I will do one again. I might do one night this week, mate, to be fair, if I've got a bit of spare time. You'll have to tell me what game you like to see as well, because I think picking the right game is important as well, so that it's interesting for people to watch. I'm not sure if Spider-Man was that interesting for a longer period of time. So let me know some ideas of the kind of games that you like to watch on Twitch. Skullmunch says, quite interested in Heroes of Blackreach board game coming out. Don't see a lot of coverage for it. Looks like an interesting 40k game without more minis to paint. I'll have to... Is Heroes of Blackreach? Is this the one that is, it looks like... kind of what is it? Is this the Warhammer Quest one based on 40k, or is that something else? Throat saying the fracture theory. God, it is taking a while to catch up, isn't it? As the gaming communities get fractured, I know of 3 smaller clubs in my area that would be amazing if they got together. Yeah, I think it's one thing. I think I commented. Oh, excuse me, let me get comfy. I think it was one thing I commented a while ago. I think I had a video about it. About how fractured wargaming communities are and how people that play one game don't tend to mix with people that play another game, whereas board gaming communities will quite happily play kind of many different games. So I think you're probably right. Actually, I'll have to do a bit digging into that. I like that kind of sort of science of the mind type stuff. We've got Tony in, says, sorry he's late. Technical issues this end. Don't worry, mate. I had technical issues this end as well at the start. You've probably missed the bit that was awful. We've got Kev saying 7 TVs, great. I've seen something about that recently, Kev. Must be like a new expansion bit or something. I can't remember what it was, but it looked good. Peter saying, I'd love to take a look at some of the lesser played games, but have such a backlog of GW stuff to paint, it's impossible. I even obtained Walking Dead and still didn't play. Shame on you, Peter. Shame on you. Yeah, it is hard, isn't it? And I think if you've invested a lot of money in something, I get why you wouldn't kind of invest more in other stuff, but it is a shame that some of those lesser games don't get to see the light of day. Jens is saying, see you guys, have to go, looking forward to Vanguard. See you, Jens. I'm assuming you've already probably dropped off, but if you do watch this later, I kind of mentioned it now as well. So next Monday's live stream, we're going to have a Kings of War Vanguard special. So the whole show will be about Vanguard. We'll be chatting a little bit about what you can expect to see. We'll be chatting some of the pre-order stuff. that Mantic have put up today. I have got the rules. Mantic have been very nice and sent me the rules, so I've got a bit more information. So ahead of it kind of coming out, we'll be able to chat in a bit more in depth. I've kind of been asked to hold off on some of the stuff until Mantic do their sort of promotion and do their what's the word I'm looking for? Like their own kind of marketing. So yeah, next Monday will be the start of the Vanguard stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's have a look. Flying Mammal saying that would make more sense about Harry Potter. We've got Graham Dixon in. Good evening, Graham, mate. Long time no speak. Hope you're well, mate. Said he's not watched for a while. Also a little late at the party. Always welcome, mate. Doesn't matter what time it is. Nice to see you. Peter says, anyone remember the days when even GW didn't support the games they brought out? It's not that long ago, mate, actually. It's not that long ago. We've got Nurgling in. Says, hey, team. How's it going? Good evening, Nurgling. Hope you're well. Rob says, on streaming, any thoughts of streaming a tabletop game instead? It's quite interesting you say that, actually, because I was chatting to, I think it was somebody that's been in the chat tonight, and I forget who it was now. I think, let me very quickly check some. I think it was Gary Hollandale. We were having a chat. And he was suggesting about playing Silver Tower on stream. And he gave me a way that it would probably work, actually. I thought that was quite interesting. So if you guys are interested in seeing a kind of a playthrough on a live stream, would that be something you'd quite like to see? Because we could kind of play the game and chat about it as we're going, talk about some of the kind of what's going through ahead at the time, I suppose. Peter's having a bit of a smile there. Rain says the pricing's really random sometimes. It was cheaper for me to order the Middle Earth starter set from the UK and pay high shipping costs than buying it from a local store here in Helsinki. Wow, that is bad. Speaking of Helsinki, actually, I think I might be coming to Finland soon with work. I go to a place called Nokia, and I have to fly into Helsinki and then fly from Helsinki onto Nokia. So I'll let you know if I'm flying that side anytime soon. Adam says on Twitch to get views, it's either Fortnite or CS:GO. Both the shit. Yeah, I don't play either of them, mate. To be honest, the Twitch stuff isn't really about getting views. I'm not likely to grow a Twitch channel anytime soon. It's just something a bit different. I thought I'd just try it as a bit of a challenge. Try something new, really. Skullmunch said Heroes of Black Reach's 40k battle played on a board and the units are cardboard chits. Ah, okay. I didn't realise that. I was thinking it might have been the name for the new Warhammer Quest game. We've got Michael saying to rein in, I'm not going to try and pronounce that, the store owner only uses RRP or MSRP. Maybe perhaps the reason. Rob saying, I'd like to see Games Workshop give more love to some of their own games. Get Blitzball and Space Marine Adventures released in the UK already. It's quite interesting that they've gone straight to America with those, haven't they? Maybe they realised there's a huge big market out there that maybe it hasn't picked up GW stuff yet. And they're trying to kind of target that, I suppose. I think I remember seeing their latest financial reports. A massive chunk of their money still comes from the UK. So maybe they're trying to kind of grow the market elsewhere through a different method. Skullmunch is saying to Rob, who couldn't agree more. Nurglin saying to Adam, he agrees. Glenn saying, gonna have to go soon, but interested in your thoughts on that new 2000 AD game. Let's very quickly flick across because let's flick over. So yeah, Strontium Dog. Michael was telling me about this today, and I didn't realise that you got quite so much in the starter box. So this is on the EH Gaming site. Ross is one of the guys in the Facebook group as well, and one of the subscribers. He's the guy that very kindly sent me this mug. I thought we'd use his site today to have a look at that. So if you are interested, it's ehgaming.com, I should say. So yeah, they got Strontium Dog on here. Normally £50. He's selling it for £40. You get quite a bit in here. So as you can see, you get some cards in there. You get some miniatures in. There's dice in there, custom dice. But there's also some MDF terrain. And there's also some tokens in there as well. For 40 quid, that's not too bad, is it? And Michael was telling me, so you've got these, let's flick over to them. You've got these red and black tokens. And you basically put them into a bag and you draw them out to see who activates next. Which I thought, I like that from the kind of bolt action mechanic type thing. I like the way that works. For 40 quid, I think I might take a bit of a punt on this, actually. I didn't realise it was this cheap. And I didn't realise you got that much stuff in it. The models, you've got Wolf Sternhammer, which is actually a really nice sculpt. You've got Johnny Alpha. We've got Gronk. You've also got, oh, those are the backs of them. And then you also have Impetigo Jones. You have Skull. You've got Max Bubba. I remember him from the comics when I was a kid. You've got Lowdown Fee. And you have Brute Mosley as well. So some quite nice little miniatures in there. And anybody that's bought Fallout, there's some cheap terrain for you, I think, in there as well. So yeah, it looks like not a bad little game that actually, just kind of self-contained. I know they sell a load of extra stuff as well for it. And I think if I have a quick look on Michael's store, have a quick look. I think I remember seeing, there we go, Strontium Dog. I'm sure he had the some of the expansions and stuff. So there's obviously some extra warband type things as well. So yeah, interesting. Not played it, but I think I might, in interests of trying to bring some of these kind of lesser known games, I might pick that one up actually. Ridge. Tony saying, decided to build the minis from Conquest while he tuned in tonight. Already lost an intercessor's head. Oh, bloody hell. Skull. Oh, I'm flicking back around now. Saying, Skull Munch is saying, love to see Blitz Bowl in the UK. All my better half prefers Blood Bowl. I've never really got my head around Blood Bowl. I find I just got my ass kicked every time I played it by people who just knew it a lot better than I did. Kev saying there about Strontium Dog's really good game will be compatible with the future 2000 AD release. Didn't realise that actually. Maybe that's what he was talking about. Mark saying, wonder if Walking Dead could work on Twitch. Mark is saying Dreadball does. Yeah, I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe Dreadball or something that is easier to see on camera with maybe just that kind of 1 or 2 camera views. I need to give it a thought really and see how I can set it up, because obviously I don't have a lot of space here where my main setup is. I'd have to set something up specifically for that. But yeah, I think I will try and stream something like that. I guess I'm probably better off streaming it here though, rather than on Twitch. Would you guys rather it was on Twitch? Would you rather just see it here? How would you like to see it? Rob saying tabletop live stream strong gate. Nurglin saying reckon you should give live streaming a game a go and see how it goes. Yeah, what you got to lose, eh? Skullmunch says, I hope your flight number is 3210. I'm not sure what. I hope that's a good flight. Throat saying, getting into a gaming show allows me to look at those lighter games, or get into a gaming show, sorry, those little games that need some love. Good discount too, I find. Yeah, I agree. That tends to be where I kind of pick up some of that information. Rain says to Michael, yeah, I know, I'm sad that Webb Halland doesn't deliver to Finland anymore. Do you guys have or certainly you, Rain, do you struggle to get sort of stuff in Finland? I mean, obviously in the UK, we're quite fortunate. Majority of the ones are actually, the majority of ones are in kind of the UK as well. And I've just saw further down there as well, it just says you'll be flying to Tampere. That's what it's called. I forgot the name of it. I have to work in Nokia, but I do fly to Tampere and then go into Nokia from there. Michael saying, you know what needs attention? He says, indie RPGs, they're awesome and fun break from D&D or regular campaign. Tolmort saying he would watch your live stream with Tabletop. Silver saying, you're going to have to head off, silly work. However, need to work to buy games. Thanks, Silver. I'll catch you next time, mate. Tony is saying, definitely going to pick up Strontium Dog. Looks great and great price. Yeah, I didn't realise that was the price of it, to be fair. I thought the starter box was a bit more expensive than that. Kev saying, Rumble Slam would work on Twitch. You're right, it would. So would Guild Ball as well, Tony's saying. I think anything that is Kev saying no one would watch it though. You're right. Oh, Nokia 3210, of course. Oh, how could I not remember that? How could that not? Thank you very much, Flying Mammal. I'm glad somebody gets that. Gets that. Rob saying YouTube streaming would work better. Yeah, I guess Nurglin saying doesn't use Twitch will be and won't be using it, as I have half a dozen websites to try and keep up with. Don't need another to try and upgrade. Yeah, I might as well, if I'm going to kind of stream it, I might as well just try streaming it here. I think, yeah, you're right. I think what I was probably doing, if I do any kind of PlayStation gaming, I'll probably do that on Twitch, and then it doesn't confuse this channel. But if I stream any miniature games, I'll probably do it here. Or it's just saying, did anyone else see the preview of tabletop version of Assassin's Creed on Beasts of War? I did see it, mate. I'll be honest. It would have been nice to see more about the game. I'll be honest. I didn't watch the whole interview. It was a little bit stunted. I felt it was there was something a little bit missing. But it's an interesting premise, and it'll be interesting to see how they do it. It's just going to be a co-op board game. It's not like a miniatures game as such. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the rule set. We're seeing a lot of computer games now. And what's interesting is the people that are bringing these games to the tabletop are the people that actually kind of created the games originally as well. Flying Mammal says this is an embarrassing stream. Yeah, maybe this is one to I'm glad this wasn't kind of like one of those streams where I'm trying to kind of do on one particular game and do a really good job of it. Try and promote myself to those kind of companies as well, as to how I can help promote their games. And then I'm ballsing up the live stream at the start, and then I'm not getting the jokes. It's been a long day, Flying Mammal. It's been a long day. Rain saying we only struggle to get stuff at reasonable prices. Yeah, I can imagine the shipping probably is a killer. We've got Adam has just come in as well. Nice to see you, Adam. I hope I've replied to your email, buddy. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not yet. Apologies for the delay in that. It's just got to work and join the chat. Personally, with the amount of releases and support Kill Team is getting, I'd like to see Warhammer Skirmish upgraded the same way. I think you're not alone in that, mate. I think there's a few people would like to see a kind of a Kill Team-esque version of AOS. I'm not sure how it would work with all of the kind of magic and the spells. I guess it works for Frostgrave, so there's definitely kind of there's something to base it upon, if you like, from a skirmish point of view. So it'd be good to see who that was. Adam is saying we're on the stream without a paddle. Well, it just shows you, doesn't it? This is the real me, ballsing it up, no editing, none of this kind of take 27, let's do it again. So when you watch the video, it looks like I kind of got it all the first time. This is just how it is normally, to be fair. Rain saying, except that there is some sort of board game designer's kit Kickstarter campaigning for which was due to deliver soonish, and the people paid around €60 for it. For some reason, a whole lot of them ended up in Finland. Wow, that's quite interesting, isn't it? Mark says, it's the imperfections that make us human. Read that somewhere. You're right, it is that. You are right there. Ian saying, anyone else here in 1,000, Andy? Oh, don't even tell me that. Don't tell me that's a thing. I can turn it back on again if you want. I know how to turn it on now. Rain is saying they were selling them for €10 a piece at Damaged Goods Warehouse. Ouch. Shaggy saying GW are releasing so much at the moment. Gone are the days like computer games have 4 or 5 big releases a year. Yeah, I think we're probably seeing it in computer games now as well. So there was a game, I think it was Spider-Man actually, where the company that's made it actually kind of did a promo video for the downloadable content before the game had actually even come out. So they obviously had this DLC ready to go, held it back, and then started kind of promoting it before the game had even come out to buy. It's almost like, you know, that new game you've not played yet, here's some more stuff to buy for it. You're starting to see that a little bit from GW now. I mean, I think they actually announced the Rogue Trader expansion for Kill Team well before Rogue Trader came out, before Kill Team came out. Rain saying Kickstarter backers haven't received their set anywhere in the world. I've seen some funny things recently about companies. There was a bit of a dodgy company was kind of they were taking kind of pledges from people that were maybe in a country where the shipping was really expensive, taking everyone's pledges and doing like a group pledge on their behalf to get the shipping rates down, but then they weren't delivering the games. They were just pocketing the money and they hadn't even bought them on Kickstarter. There were some dodgy stories going on about that not too long ago. So then, let me have a quick drink and catch my breath. So, yes, next week, Monday night live stream will be the start of my Kings of War Vanguard coverage. As I said, Mantic have been very kind and have sent me on a PDF of the rules. So not the rule book, as I don't think it was printed at the time when they sent it. So I've had a good read through the rules. Really looking forward to playing it. So we'll be able to have a chat about the rules next week, I think, because Mantic will have shared a lot more of their marketing campaign online. which if you haven't seen it, head over to the Mantic blog today, or if you head over on the Mantic site. Actually, let's very quickly, while we're talking about it, let's very quickly head across onto the Mantic site. So what you'll see here is what they're doing for a short period of time, I think until near the end of October. The Kings of War Vanguard rulebook is going to be half price. So £12.49 is that half price. Looks it's hardback book as well. Now what's in this book? I'll see if it tells you how many pages it's got in it, because it's a huge book. It doesn't actually say how many pages is in it, but there's 12 scenarios. There's a load of background in there as well. So anybody who want to dip their toe into Kings of War, this will give you some of the background into Kings of War. It's got starter war bands for Basileans, for Dwarves, for Elves, Northern Alliance, which are a new war band or a new faction, Forces of Nature, Forces of Abyss, Ogres, Trident Realms, Abyssal Dwarves, Empire of Dust, Goblins, Night Stalkers, again a new Mantic army, Orcs and Undead. There's equipment lists in there as well, so you can kind of tailor out your individual warbands with weapons. There's advanced spell books as well, so you can give specific spells. You can choose which spells you want to purchase for your give to your kind of your magic casters. And there's also a really good campaign rules in there as well. So yeah, it's if you want to dip your toe in, £12.49. I think Ronnie has said on a Mantic video today as well is that I think they're going to be free as well. The basic rules are going to be free. So that'll be really good if you're just thinking of getting started. Speaking of getting started, they've just announced pre-orders for all of the warbands as well. So some of the new stuff that came for the Kickstarter. So Night Stalkers, the new Basileans, Abyssal faction starter, Northern Alliance faction starter as well. Which I think I'll definitely be picking one of those up, I think. Power dice, and there's also a limited numbers of these giants available as well. I think I might pick one of these up as well. Looks excellent. Looks really, really good. Then there's little booster packs as well. So these are the resins that go with them. So for example, the Basilean boosters. These models are absolutely beautiful. These are the kind of models that if GW had released them, everybody would be like losing their mind over them. The detail on them is unbelievable. So yeah, it's plenty to pick up there. And then from an accessories point of view, there's some Battlefield stuff. This is some of the stuff that I bought from Michael, actually from Michael's web store. So he had some of the Kickstarter stuff from Terrain Crate, and I've picked up some of this stuff. So hopefully I get it in time for my battle report stuff to do as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. Letting slip there. I've got some Kings of War Vanguard battle reports to come soon. So let's have a look, see what people are chatting about here. Adam says Rogue Trader wasn't supposed to be out this year. It was released early due to leaks. It's interesting that, Mark, 'cause I read that, and there's something in the Rogue Trader book, isn't there, that mentions the release that was supposed to be coming out first. But I thought GW had released the Rogue Trader video ages ago, unless that's what it was. Graham saying, what do people think of that Terminator Genesis game? Admittedly, the film was pretty shit, but you can get a basic game for £9. I got bought a copy as a present, worth bothering with. I've heard it's not too bad, if I'm honest, mate. I think it's one of those games that will always suffer from the fact that there's the Terminators and then there's the kind of the Resistance, if you like. So it hasn't got much where it can go. But I've heard that as a rule, I think it's fine, mate. I don't think it's too bad at all. Mark says, did you see the Hellboy news? The great new images and the Panda GM are manufacturing. Yeah, I read that email today, mate, as well. It was good to see that, and it was kind of interesting to see a bit more of the background about how it all comes together. It is great news, actually. Some of those renders look fantastic. Peter saying Rogue Trader should have been the core, in my opinion, because it represents GW very first 40k rule set. Yeah, I haven't picked up Rogue Trader, I'll be honest. I felt like I didn't need to kind of get more kill team stuff at the minute. I've got enough to be getting on with. There's plenty of other stuff I want to play as well. And I purposefully tried not to get caught up in the hype for this one. So I haven't picked up the Rogue Trader stuff. So I'll be honest, because I decided I wasn't going to pick it up, I then didn't pay a lot of attention to it. So I don't know much about it, if I'm honest. Kev saying he purchased Terminator for the models, but not played it yet either. Shaggy is saying, Andy, I blame you for going back and looking at Kings of War and Vanguard. Also, the giant Mantic have produced is amazing. I'd like to say sorry, but honestly, like I say, I've now got the rule book, so I've read through the latest version of the rules. I've gone through all of the war bands and everything else, and I honestly, and this is me genuinely hand on heart, not because they've kind of sent me a PDF version to read through. I'm going to buy the book. I think it's fantastic. It's the best Mantic book from a kind of content point of view. I think bar none. They've done an absolutely fantastic job of it. Anybody that's backed the Kickstarter will be over the moon with it. I'll certainly be picking up a hardback version of the book while it's at half price. And reading through some of the background and stuff, it really starts to flesh out that Kings of War world, and just kind of gets my hobby juices flowing as well. So yeah, you won't be sorry, mate. Even if you just pick up the book just to have a read of it for that price. Mark says, can't buy another game. Damn, that's a good price. Just one more. You're not wrong, mate, are you? Adam is saying there's some stuff in the rulebook which references another expansion which should have been first. Yeah, that's right. Peter's saying, do tell more. I think it's the Commanders expansion, isn't it? I think. Which tells more about it, and there's something in the Rogue Trader book which references reading that book. So you can definitely tell they've released them in the wrong order for whatever reason it is. Let's have a look where we do. Rage Against Dice. Kev is saying they want some Ratmen models. Yep, agree with that, mate. Ian says, really looking forward to Vanguard, chomping at the bit to get my Kickstarter. Yep, not be too long, mate. Not be too long. Tim saying, one question about Kings of War. Do you have to buy Bloody Codex, Alliance, faction books, etc.? Simple answer is no, mate. So if we go, so from a Kings of War Vanguard point of view, you buy that rule book, everything is in it. A bit like Kill Team, so all of the war bands are in there, all of the different factions, all of their stats are in there. So for Kings of War Vanguard, there's one book. That's all you need to buy at the minute. For Kings of War, on a bigger scale, again, just buy the Kings of War version 2 rulebook set. Let's have a quick look at Kings of War. I'll flick across, mate, so you can see the rulebook. So, second edition rulebook, just buy that, and you'll be good to go, mate. It'll have everything in there for you. So, that's another reason why I quite like these kind of these games as well. Yeah, Shaggy's just saying, yeah, Tim, no army lister in the rulebook. Michael saying, yes, Andy, the package will be shipped tomorrow. Thank you very much, mate. I'll get them done as quickly as I can. Rain saying, can you give the address to Michael's store? I can, but it's ccgwinkle.nl. If you head across to the Facebook group, Michael has posted a link to it there today. We've got Tim saying to Shaggy, nice. That puts me off AOS 40k. Yeah, it put me off AOS. AOS just became more and more books than I knew what to do with. It definitely kind of killed it for me. Kieran saying to Tim, regarding Kings of War, you only need the core 2nd edition rulebook to play it. It has half the factions in it. You can then buy the supplementary book, Uncharted Empires or so, to give you the rest of the factions army list. About 8 more or 20 or so. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some free faction lists which are simple ones if you want to kind of get started. There's some free ones that you can download online. But yeah, those two kind of have the bulk of it in, haven't they? Tim saying thanks to Kieran. Tony saying the Doctor Who skirmish game is another example of an IP that should be storming it and doesn't seem to be. Yeah, you're right. Actually, that's another game that seemed to come out recently and didn't really get any love from anywhere. Wait, Robertson says, hi, I made it. Hey, evening, Robert. We've got about another 10 minutes-ish, something like that. So you've made it for the end anyway, mate. To be fair, you did well missing the start. Nobody should have seen the start. Kev is saying, Doctor Who games, good game, uses the Project Z rules. Ah, does it now? So somebody was telling me about Project Z because there's a new Kickstarter coming for that. Adam is saying, got Project Z a couple of years back, only in building a handful of minis, never played it. Throw saying, Manic have been good about consolidating lists. Yeah, I think it's in a really good position, actually, Kings of War. It's kind of, it's grown over time. It's been sort of tweaked and tinkered, but it's in a really good place now. We've got Robbie Laston as well. Good evening, Robbie. He says, are there any Saga players here? Great small game that has a Yahtzee-style mechanic for activating abilities. And he also says, hi from Australia. G'day, mate. I've heard about Saga. There was quite a few people used to play it in my local group. I don't know much about the game itself, but I know it got a bit of a resurgence locally. Kev saying they covered Doctor Who a lot in the early days. I remember seeing it, Kevin, to be honest. I think that was the only place I've ever really seen it anywhere. Again, I guess people are all about the views and they're all about the subscribers and everything else, and it's hard to run a channel where you like to cover all of the kind of random stuff that's out there, because people want to subscribe and just keep watching that one game that they play, unfortunately. So yeah, it's quite tough. Rain says, have you been playing any board games lately, Andy? What have I played lately? To be honest, I've been a little bit off board games recently. Not by choice kind of thing. Not because I didn't want to. Not because I've kind of had enough of board games. I just not really had the time, to be honest. That's why I've been a little bit lacking in videos. If I'm honest, I've just not really had the time to make them. I've been away with work. I've been kind of looking after my little one. So I've struggled for time recently. So I'm hoping this week I'll get back onto that kind of onto that keel and try and get a few more videos out and get a few more games played as well. So no, I've not really played anything in a little while, I'll be honest, Rain. And Kev saying, yeah, it was. So folks, we're getting towards the end of the live stream now. So thank you to everybody that's been in tonight. We've still got another 5 minutes or so, but I thought I'd have a little bit of a kind of a wrap up at the end here. So for those that have just tuned in, next week, next Monday, the live stream chat will be Kings of War Vanguard. We're going to do a Kings of War Vanguard special. So all night we'll have a chat about that. We'll chat about some of the rules. We'll chat about some of the war bands. We'll chat about some of the miniatures, the new sculpts that have come out. So that's next Monday. I'd like to say thank you again to all of my Patreons. We had a new Patreon join us this week, as you can see on the top of the screen here. Yeah, here you are. So Michael is our latest Patreon joining the group. Michael is the guy actually that runs the Combined Arms podcast that I was interviewed for last week. If you haven't checked that out, have a check on either on Podbean or on iTunes. Have a look for Combined Arms podcast. I did an interview with him last week, and that was really fun to do. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat tonight. Thanks to all my subscribers, all my viewers. Keep watching the content. What else we got here? Adam, Michael. Oh, I'll go back again. Throtor says Saga, not played it yet. Keltoffalo does nice videos. I'll have to check them out, mate. Michael says don't really care about subs anymore, but do need to say I'm almost at 1,000, so need to get there now. Yeah, anybody that hasn't subscribed to Michael's channel, head across to Miniature Painting. I'm assuming it's the Miniature Painting one that needs it, mate. Head across, check out his channel and give him a sub. It'd be nice to get him to 1,000. Nice to get him 1,000 subs. Kieran is saying, do you have anyone from Manic on with you next week? I've not asked anyone, Kieran, to be fair. I probably should and see if anybody's interested, to be fair. Somebody like Rob or maybe Martin or someone. Even Ronnie, if he was feeling up to it. It'd be nice to get somebody involved at some point. But yeah, it's a good shout, actually. That way, at least I'm not sharing stuff I can't really share. Adam is saying, any thoughts on the Warhammer 40k Munchkin game? I mentioned it earlier on, Adam, actually. I was quite surprised. Somebody said Munchkin was a game that needed a bit more love. And I knew I'd heard about it. So it's quite interesting, actually, that it's coming out. Be interesting to see how that kind of humour mixes with the 40k world. Rain is saying, have you played through Pandemic Legacies? I've not actually even played Pandemic before. But it's a game I do want to pick up. I thought I'd pick up the original Pandemic first and have a play of that with my wife. And then probably pick up Legacies after that, I think. Is that a good way to do it, do you think? Shaggy is saying, good board game is Scythe. Artwork is fantastic. May not be everyone's cup of tea as it's a resource management style game, but check it out. It has mechs. I will check that out, mate. Thank you very much. I have heard of Scythe, but I don't know much about the game itself. It looked a little bit like a farming simulator from the box art, if I'm honest. So it'd be good to check it out a bit more. Flying Mammal says, Night all. Thank you very much, Flying Mammal, for coming in. Rob saying, cheers all. I've got 20 Poxwalkers, 10 Plague Marines, and a cultist to build. Successful evening. Thank you very much. It's always good to have a bit of chat, isn't it, when you don't feel like you're kind of sitting on your own then. We've got Stuart Noble is in as well. Good evening, Stuart. So would love to see some battle reports, rules talk through on different games, mate. Yeah, maybe the live streams are the place for that, or like we're doing a live stream of a game. Maybe that's the place for those kind of slightly more random games. Thanks for that, Stuart. Michael saying thanks, Mammal. Rain saying Shaggy, it's great. Tolmort says great show, Andy. Thank you very much, buddy. Mark is saying entertaining night. Cheers, Andy. You are welcome, Mark. Thank you very much as always. Throat Sauce saying well done. Keep it together despite technical glitch. Shows that you are a great army general. What a balls it wasn't it? Tony saying Saga's really good fun. Him saying cheers to all. Michael saying he's a mantic man as well. Kieran saying you don't count, Michael. You're thinking a real mantic person, aren't you? Somebody on the payroll. Pete saying thanks to Andy and everyone. Much food for thought tonight. Thank you, Peter. That's what these are about. It's not about kind of saying you must go out and buy this new game. It's just about kind of making everyone aware of all the games that are out there. Mark says, get Robbie on. We'll know all we want to then. Mark says, Panda GM manufactured Scythe. Didn't realise that. Kev saying, think Munchkin would fit the Rogue Trader setting more. Michael saying, besides the fact I'm being kept in the dark as well. Rain says you can start with Legacy straight away. I wasn't sure whether it would be worth starting with normal Pandemic just to kind of get my head around it or not, but I like the idea of Legacy, man. I'll be honest. Adam saying, good night all. Kieran is saying, Michael, no panic. You're under the same restrictions as me. Steve is saying, went straight in with the first Pandemic. Legacy Inside is a stunning game for quality as well as great play. Thank you very much. Tony saying he's found the head. Happy days. Cheers for the night, dude. Robert saying, bye all. Have a great week. And Nurglin says, good night all. And with that, that is the perfect time to end the live stream. So, thank you as always, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll definitely be trying to get some more videos out this week. A minimum of one. I hope to get 2 more videos this week. And then next Monday sees the start of the Vanguard videos. So, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Game for quality as well as great play. Thank you very much.